Plenty of talk in the Championship about a disparity of money between the top and bottom teams, and that got me thinking, who have been the biggest over and underachievers in the league this season? In today's video, we're going to be exploring that. So using figures from Transfermarkt, I've ranked each Championship club by what their squad is currently valued at from 1 to 24. I've then taken each Championship club's position in the league table as it stands right now, and I've worked out the difference between those numbers, what your squad's valued at and where you currently are in the league. I've then gone ahead and put it into a table, and it makes for some interesting readings. So basically, the further down this table you are, the more you've underachieved, and the further up this table you are, the more you've overachieved. If you go on to enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like. Without any further ado, let's jump in. Starting us out with the biggest underachievers in the Championship this season, it's not going to be coming as much surprise that that is Watford. Going off Transfermarkt's figures, Watford actually have the second most valuable squad in the league. Despite that, they're currently sitting 13th in the Championship. Watford have bounced around from different philosophies, managers, ideas, and behind the scenes has been a total train wreck that, despite the quality that they obviously do have on the pitch with individuals, none of that's been able to blossom this season because of factors behind the scenes. Overall, an underperformance of 11 places based on their squad value. And it's not been a great year for the parachute teams this year, because next up, and as the second biggest underachiever in the Championship, we've got Norwich, who have got the fourth most valuable squad in the league, but that's only been able to get them to 12th in the Championship this season, giving them an overall underachievement of 8 places this season. Start of the year, a lot of people had Norwich as one of the favourites to bounce back up, as they've got that muscle memory, or so we thought, of promotion in the Championship. Not worked out this season, and quite a bit of a clear up is needed behind the scenes as well at Norwich. Now, QPR did manage to secure their Championship safety with that result against Stoke, but let's not take away from the fact that this has been an absolutely disastrous season for QPR. First few months of the season, things were going fairly well for them under Beale, flying high in and around the top 6, and their squad value should place them in and around the middle of the Championship. They've currently got the 12th most valuable squad in the league. Despite that, they were sucked into a relegation battle and seemed like they were sleepwalking towards relegation. It's not transpired that way in the end, but they've still underachieved this season by 6 places. I think we were all expecting to see Stoke pretty low down on this list. They're coming up next, the 4th biggest underachievers in the league this season. They've got a squad value which would place them 11th in the Championship, but it's yet another bottom half finish. Every season since Stoke have been relegated from the Championship, they finished in the bottom half of the table, despite there being hopes of a top 6 push at the start of every year, it would seem. Now, Cardiff rebuilt their entire squad in the summer transfer window, and all that rebuilding led to them having the 15th most valuable squad in the league. That's not really transpired this season. They've underperformed that by 5 places so far. They're currently 20th in the Championship. Were threatened with relegation for a large portion of this season. That's not transpired in the end, and Sabri Lamucci has just about got them over the line, but once again, it's not been a good year for them. Next up, we then have Hull City. Now, with Hull, it took them quite a bit of time to get their act together. Under Rossini, they're looking more like a side who does have the 9th most valuable squad in the Championship. Let's not forget that a hell of a lot of investment has gone into this Hull squad since the new ownership did come in. Loads of transfers and influx of players coming in the summer especially, and quite a lot of money was spent on that side. Overall, an underachievement of 5 places for Hull this season. Birmingham have sort of regressed to their standard lower mid-table finish, but that's still an underachievement going off their squad value. Now, some loanees in that Birmingham squad will no doubt have bumped up their overall squad value. Loanees are involved in these totals that I've involved here, but they've got the 13th most valuable squad in the league, 17th in the table. That gives them an underperformance of 4 places this season. Now, pound for pound, Blackpool have been the worst side in the league this year if we discount Wigan's point deduction. Despite that, they've not got the least valuable squad in the Championship, and they shouldn't actually be going down based on pure squad values. They're ranked 20th for that. There is the feeling that had Dobby been instilled much earlier, maybe this Blackpool side would still be fighting right now. The McCarthy tenure was nothing short of a disaster. Appleton, things started out fairly brightly with a couple of notable performances, but I think that should have been cut a lot sooner than it actually was. and yeah, big rebuilding job now going into League One. Reading have the 19th most valuable squad in the league. They're currently 22nd in the table, but I have put an asterisk next to their name because they were hit with that -6 deduction, and without that -6 deduction I think they would actually be 19th in the table right now. From that theory, they're actually bang on for squad value and what they've actually got out of this team this season, but as a result of the point deduction, that means they've underperformed this by 3 places. Blackburn have been in the top 6 for the vast majority of the season, but a bad run at a crucial point of the season, which has seen them not win any of their last 8 matches, has seen them slip to 9th in the table, and that would actually be an underperformance of 3 places. Blackburn do have the 6th most valuable squad in the Championship, going off transfer market figures. I'm sure plenty of their youngsters and the value of Brereton Diaz is dragging that figure up. There has been a lot of talk from people behind the scenes at Preston saying that we're massively overachieving even to be mid-table in the Championship, but going off our squad value, we've actually underachieved by 1 place so far this season. Preston obviously boosted up the squad with plenty of loanees who do hold quite a bit of value, which does bump us up quite considerably, but they've been part of the playing squad this season and been quite disappointing with how we sort of fizzled out in our top 6 attempts, but pretty much we're spot on for where we should be. The same could also be said of West Brom. They are 8th in the table at the moment. They've got the 7th most valuable squad in the Championship, so an underperformance of just 1 place so far, but not really all too much in that, and on the final day this could all flip around, of course. We actually only have 2 Championship sides who are bang on what their squad's valued at and where they are in the league at the moment. One of those sides is Wigan. I have put an asterisk next to their name as obviously the point deduction has affected this, and if you were to discount that point deduction, they'd actually have overachieved by 1 place this season, believe it or not. Wigan just didn't sufficiently support that squad in either of the transfer windows with adequate Championship quality. It is, at the end of the day, I think a League One squad that all 3 of the managers that have been in there this season have been working with, and ultimately by the time we get to the end of the season I think that's proven to be the case really. Least valuable squad in the Championship, no surprise that they're going down. And the only other team in the league to perfectly match what their squad is valued at to where they have finished this season is Burnley. They've got the most valuable squad in the Championship and they've gone up in 1st place. Now with Burnley, it's worth saying that plenty of their players have exponentially increased in value over the course of this season because of how well they've done. So this one, you can sort of look at it either way, but regardless, Company's got them up. I can't wait to see what he can do with that squad in the Premier League next season. Now I am recording this video before Huddersfield have played Sheffield United, so Huddersfield may have moved a little bit in the table since then, but as of recording they're 21st right now and they've actually got a squad value which should have them in the bottom 3. I mean, Huddersfield were looking dead and buried for the vast majority of the season up until Neil Warnock came in. And at the end of the day, this was a Huddersfield squad that really was picked at in terms of the quality, which saw them make the Championship playoff final in the previous season, the loanees that they weren't able to get back, and losing some massive stars from that team, the likes of Lewis O'Brien and Harry Toffolo. Ultimately, there's not that much value in this Huddersfield squad, and it's been a miraculous turnaround from Warnock to get this much out of them. The Blades were tipped as one of the promotion favourites at the start of the season. They do have one of the most valuable squads in the Championship, but they've backed that up with their performances this season. Overall, they've got the 3rd most valuable squad in the league. They've gone on to do one better than that and finish 2nd this season, which is a testament to Paul Heckingbottom. But pound for pound, the Blades are whereabout they should be really. And a really interesting one here, Sunderland actually have the 8th most valuable squad in the Championship. Despite being newly promoted from League One, their 1st season back at this level, they did really well in the summer window especially to adequately add to this squad with some good upcoming players, some good Championship experience as well, and with those loanees who do massively boost up the overall value of their squad. But yes, Sunderland, pound for pound, going off squad value, are whereabout they should be, which is interesting. And then we have Middlesbrough as the last of these teams who are pretty much where they should be with an overperformance of just 1 place this season. The 5th most valuable squad in the Championship. As things stand, they are 4th in the table. A lot of people's picks at the start of the season for automatic promotion. Things didn't go to plan with Wilder whatsoever, but Carrick has got this squad back to where it should be. But from 6 upwards, this is where we really get into the sides who have gone above and beyond expectations this season. In 6th place, we have Rotherham, who have a squad value of 23rd in the league. Only Wigan's squad is valued at less than Rotherham's is. And despite that, they're sitting 19th in the table right now. Rotherham were, I think, everyone's picks for relegation at the start of the season. Let's not forget they lost a couple of big players to Sheffield Wednesday before a ball had been kicked this season. A few players who were really important to that promotion push in the first place. And Rotherham will always be working with one of the smallest budgets in the league. I think they're working with the smallest wage bill in the league as well, if I'm correct on that one. All in all, pound for pound, they've overperformed that by 4 places this season, which is a real testament to the work that's been going on there behind the scenes. Swansea also had an overperformance of 4 places this season. It just feels like what could have happened this year if Russell Martin was sufficiently backed in both transfer windows. There was that period where Martin just seemed to have lost it a little bit. The form was quite bad, but they've really pulled that back over this last month or so, and it just feels as if, had he been backed with a little bit more quality in a few key positions, Swansea definitely could have been well established in the top 6 race. Bristol City's a really interesting one because they have substantially reduced their wage bill since Nigel Pearson's come in. I think that was the original job that he was tasked with. Get that wage bill down to a more sustainable rate, and in the process of that they've had to lose some pretty big players. Overall, Bristol City are actually ranked 21st in the Championship when it comes to squad value, meaning their position in 15th in the Championship has actually been an overperformance of 6 places this season. Millwall, we all know the great work that Gary Rowett has done there. It's been a gradual building process at the Den. They've actually got the 16th most valuable squad in the Championship, and with their position in the top 6 at the moment, that gives them an overall overachievement of 10 places in the league this time around. Lost their most valuable player in the summer transfer window in Jed Wallace, brilliantly replaced him with Zian Fleming, but consistent year all around for Millwall. Give Gary Rowett the respect he deserves. The big boys in terms of overachievement though, Coventry are ranked 17th in terms of squad value. I'm sure the vast majority of that will be made up of Gustavo Hamer and Victor Gyökeres, and apart from that, Mark Robins has really had to pull together a squad on, free transfers, loanees. Wasn't really a budget to improve the squad in January all too much, despite how short they still were in some areas. And despite that squad value, they're 5th in the league at the moment, an overall overachievement of 12 places in the league. A few people turned their noses up for whatever reason that Mark Robins was in the conversation to have been Championship Manager of the season, but I think those stats right there prove why he was in the conversation and the great job that he's done. But by far and away the biggest overachievers in the Championship this season have been Luton Town, continually punching above their weight. They've actually got They're actually ranked 18th in the Championship when it comes to squad value, going off the transfer mark figures. They're 3rd in the league, they're guaranteed to finish 3rd, and that's an overall overperformance of 15 places. People thought that, they'd sort of reached their ceiling last year when they managed to get into the playoffs, but they've only added to their squad from that point. They lost Naismith on a free transfer, and a few people thought that that may derail them in terms of making them a bit shakier in their back line, but they've only got better from that standpoint. Reinvested into someone like Colton Morris, who's on 20 plus goal contributions this season, and an overachievement of 15 places is absolutely miraculous. But there we have it, guys. Based on squad value, there were the biggest over and underachievers in the league this season. If you'd like to see a similar concept with some other ideas, do let me know down below. If you'd like to see this done with wage bill, transfer fees spent and things like that, those could also be interesting concepts. So do show your support on today's video, guys. Apart from that, thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one.